Here are 7 nonfiction books that center around one person and the history that they created or the history that they lived within. First up is a book called Camera Girl, and this is an early biography of Jackie Kennedy before she marries John F. Kennedy and the incredible cosmopolitan, high-cultured life that she led before she brought that to the White House. Next up is a book called The Story of Che Guevara, and this is exactly what it sounds like. It's a biography of one of the most iconic people of the 21st century, and it's an interesting portrait written by a fellow Argentine, which gives it an interesting perspective. Next up is a book called Strongman by Angus Roxburgh, and this is a bit of a dated book, but a really interesting one about the rise of Vladimir Putin, how he rules, what it was like to live in his Russia, and how he rose to power, and how he's continued to maintain his grip on power all the way up until 2014. Next up is a book called Kaiser, and this is a book about a footballing legend who never stepped on the pitch. He was able to play for a bunch of different football clubs across the world and somehow was able to continue on the legacy of being a footballer even though he never actually played. Next up is a book called Nero by Anthony Everett. Not only do I love Anthony Everett's work, I also loved this book. It was a really interesting portrait of one of the most infamous Roman emperors, Nero, whose life makes reading about ancient history exciting as hell. Next up is a book called Escape from Camp 14 by Blaine Harden, and this is a portrait of a Korean man trying to escape his horrible life in a North Korean detainment camp and what ends up happening after he leaves the camp and all of the horrible things that happen to him within the camp. It's a riveting story, a dark one, but an important one. And finally, heading back into ancient history, you can read Alexander the Great by Dominic Sandbrook. If you listen to the Rest is History podcast, you know who Dominic Sandbrook is. This is an easy to digest biography of Alexander the Great for anybody who's never read anything about him. And it's also geared towards teens, which makes it super easy to read, very engaging and fast paced. So if you want to start your journey with Alexander the Great, this is a great place to start. All of these books are entertaining, fast paced, and center around one particular person and the history that they made or the history that they lived through, which is how I love to read history. Let me know your recommendations in the comments and if any of these interest you, and I'll see you there.